Rise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of Patreon's The Rise. All of my things are working, the buttons clicked, it looks like I know what I'm doing, and I haven't missed 2 months of streaming, but that's not true. I don't know what I'm doing, and I did miss 2 months. But we're here, we're doing it live. I just titled the episode, I have no notes. Hopefully my players are ready for that. So, previously on The Rise... this is how it goes in my brain for the first 45 minutes of me trying to prep an episode. That's mostly what it is this part. Previously on The Rise, Korax, in a feat of divinity, discovered his godhood, read almost every book in a library, and continued to sass any level of royalty that he could find. Speaking with the Queen, they were given the lowdown of what's happening. Basically, there is a war coming from potentially two fronts to attack Samora, and they have been tasked to help prevent that. They were given the task of gaining the assistance of Vishaden, colloquially known as Broshaden, the broiest god of bros. At his request, he would like to become the official god of Samora. And as long as the Queen names him such, he will help them in this war. Meanwhile, Seydlitz and Antares traipsed off to the mountains under the guise of searching for reconciliators. However, that was not the case, and Seydlitz had a mission of his own. That mission was to find a man named Regis, a man from his past, and more importantly, his father's past, his missing father's past. The man was found, along with 2 lesser ravers, and a seraph of sin, all of which bodes ill for everyone involved. The man Regis was found, albeit dead or dying, and a tidbit of information was given to Seydlitz that his father had not perished in his venture into the second depth with his spelunking group, the Whitecaps. He is instead in the 5th deep, the lowest deep that has been the least explored. What could that mean for the future of our intrepid godlings? Who knows? Least of all, me. However...
Many good things.
Yeah, so many good things.
Least of all.
So many good things. Yeah, the area in which the god world crashed into our world, the lowest level of that. I'm sure it's only good things down there. It's not like hell or anything like that, or something terrible, like full of mind control monsters or anything awful. Meanwhile... back in Samora, Korax and Mina had a spa day. They had it was a hot springs episode for them. So while Antares and Seydlitz are venturing back from the Krakens, what are Korax and Seydlitz doing? You have a couple days of downtime without your most grumpy and uppity party members. So what would the two of you do without any parental supervision?
I'm not grumpy.
Have you seen your character?
You were grumpy.
Have you played your character?
I mean,
I'm not uppity.
Angry more than grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's trying to be nice.
Grumpy on a good day.
Yeah. Hey, Mina, are you inviting Wexy to this spa day?
It's a couple's spa day.
Who wouldn't want to make Korax feel uncomfortable and like a third wheel?
It's great.
Oh God. Yeah, so your party members have set off to the Krakens under the guise of finding reconciliators or scouting the immediate area. What are your plans while they're gone?
Mina's plans are to annoy anyone he can with his ideas on how they need to prepare for the coming siege. He will speak to the Queen about ensuring that anyone that volunteers, such as, I don't know, random attractive guard captain, gets paid accordingly, and if anyone who volunteers should fall, of course their family should be paid in return. And then he will also go on about certain things about how, in his experienced mind, that how they should try to defend the city.
I like the words you used there, Snow. So in all of your experience defending cities, what are your suggestions? You have you at about 19 years of age have had your fair share of city-based sieges that you've defended. So what would your expert opinion be?
In Mina's mind, he knows that Christchurch is coming near them, and it's somehow involves dead people who are no longer dead. And he's had vast experience with a dead thing that was no longer dead. So he doesn't want to encounter that again. It was just a big pile of dead things. That's his total experience. So he will, he will, he will advise anyone that wants to listen that maybe they should check any crypts or anything where dead people things can come from within the walls of the city and consecrate it somehow. He's sure someone will know how to do that. Maybe Corax will have an opinion on how to cleanse an unholy place and make sure that no monstrosities attack from graveyards. He will spend a lot of time walking and running the walls, trying to get a handle on lines of attack, lines of approach, getting to know the other guards on the walls, getting their opinions on ways to defend it. Corax has also shown him a number of hidden ways into the city, and he'll point them out to any people on the wall near those points. And generally just make it known that he is, as much as he says he's experienced, he probably is inexperienced, and most people probably just roll their eyes.
He's probably inexperienced. Okay. Question for you, Corax. Question for Mina. Are you telling this? Are you telling people these experienced facts you know in front of Corax, or are you doing it without him?
If he can drag Corax with him, he will drag him along for support. But yeah, I guess that's up to Corax.
Okay. Corax, are you attending this symposium of the undead?
Ooh. I was going to say that Corax is doing nothing noble. So where Mina is going and making sure that people are paid and all of the good things that Mina does and cares about all these people, Corax is doing none of that.
Okay.
Whether that would swing him into the circles of prayer groups about the undead, it's a good question. I suppose it would depend on how Mina is wording these meetings. Is he saying that it's to help people, or is he saying it's to defend the city?
I think the first person he would have annoyed would be the Queen. So if probably with the initial discussion happening soon after Antares and Seydlitz went on their picnic. So if it involved the Queen, he would have definitely dragged Corax. After that, I'm sure Corax would have realized the futility of it all and just ignored him for the rest of the time.
That sounds about right.
Great. Corax, you didn't accept the futility of this whole thing. You immediately caught on to a strange look that the Queen was giving Mina during his speech about the undead and how to deal with them. The look is the kind of look you would receive as a child if you talked too much. And then you begin to tune in back to the Mina frequency as you so often are able to tune out of your own teammates. Almost everything he is saying and advising to be done because Christchurch is a haven of undeath is factually inaccurate. As the god of knowledge, you would know that nothing he said is true in the remotest sense of the word. He is speaking of the undead. Chrysorich is not the undead. They are reanimated people. They are alive. They are not just like feral corpses from the ground. They are regular people. They live a regular life. They have jobs sometimes. And it is a thing they have to opt into to be reanimated. And it is an arduous process of both science and magic. Not a spell cast on a graveyard. However, if you tell him that or not is entirely up to Corax. But
They
while
pay their taxes.
it's the Nightlands, so probably not. While Corax is espousing his doctrine of the undead, what is Corax doing around the city? You said you were doing nothing so noble as helping people, but what are you doing?
So before Antares and Seydlitz went off on their holiday, Corax would have made sure that he had a writ from the Queen, something that would not necessarily force people, but persuade people to do anything that he says, because what he is doing is in the name of the Queen. And he would be using that mostly to go to alchemists. In the library, he managed to find old documents on a flammable liquid of some description, Greek fire from, I believe, the real world, thanks to DE, or wildfire from Song of Ice and Fire, something along those lines, is highly flammable liquid. And he's going to be getting every alchemist in the city to be making this, and as much of this as they can. And he's just going to be going around and making sure they do their job, because he is their boss.
Okay, fantastic. I would like you to roll me an intelligence difficulty 5, persuasion based. So if you have an inability to be nice to people, that could be a detriment there. While you're rolling that, I would like the same roll from Mina. Intelligence difficulty 5, persuading, kind of crowd work style roll.
The divine shifts do not help in this, I'm gathering, since they are related to knowledge, science, and crafting tasks.
Correct.
Difficulty 5. I am going to use 2 effort to roll on that. Success from Corax.
Okay.
Mina's not great at
Right.
talking.
Great. You both succeed in your own right. It was just the level of success that I was going for here. So Mina, you are able to negotiate fair wages. There is some back and forth between the Queen. There is a moment of back and forth between the Queen, and then she remembers that though she was in the presence of what could be 4 divines, she is still the goddamn Queen, and you are a child. And so there is a far greater discussion between you and essentially her financial advisor, right? The master of coin, as it were, discussing what is and is not fair wages based on your width and breadth of economic knowledge and what you think is a fair wage for your not girlfriend. But an agreed upon amount of coin is agreed upon. An agreeable amount of coin is proposed for both the Jund company as well as any other companies that volunteer as this basis. If they are volunteers, they will get this bonus. If they are not volunteers, they will not get a bonus. They will get their normal wages and be sent to the front line. Your speeches about the undead, crypts, undercrofts, catacombs are largely listened to and then subsequently ignored, as it seems as though perhaps being on the border of the Nightlands has given people a far greater understanding of Christchurch, with the trade that goes in and out of here. And eventually, probably halfway through the day, Wexy pulls you aside and explains to you. She just happened to catch one of your speeches, and explains to you that that's not at all how that works. And then sort of breaks down what she understands of Christchurch. She's never been there herself, but she has had people or tradesmen that have gone through there, and kind of explains to you that it is a long and arduous process that takes place in like a special area in Christchurch, and is not just done. Not to say that it couldn't be done by someone powerful enough. It just, as far as their knowledge goes, it isn't yet. But she does sort of like build you up a little bit in like it could happen. And so it's not bad advice. And then she kind of like assuages the crowd with like some more stability and facts, and like stands behind you and is like, she kind of does some crowd work for you. Korax, you are given a writ, and unfortunately you succeeded in the role that I did not want you to succeed in. And in an effort to make you stop talking in general, the Queen passes you off to another advisor who gives you a writ that allows you far too much. It was intended to be a writ for the specificity of alchemical work, limiting your control of those things to just this one task. However, in its haste, this writ is written very vaguely, and someone with enough brains and too many words in their mouth could convince somebody that any trade falls under this writ, and any task, building, creation, etc. You come up with is authorized on behalf of the Queen. It only takes you about half the day to actually read the writ, and then realize that it says you have to do what Korax says if you work in a trade, is essentially what it boils down to. So halfway through the day, you realize that you have been given too much power, and halfway through the day, Mina, you realize that that's not how reanimated people work. So the first day without Antares and Seydlitz sort of passes as such. You're able to meet with several crowds of people. Mina, you were under the impression that the volunteer basis for extra coin was not going to be promoted for the sake of the economy and the Royal Bank. So you have been adding that to your repertoire of, hey, if you volunteer, you get extra money, thus incentivizing more of the caravan guard companies to volunteer. Meanwhile, Korax, at a minimum, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, you have gone to all of the alchemists and given them directions on how to create this alchemist's fire. Have you gone to anyone else with any other cockamamie schemes?
I mean, if Korax is going to get free reign,
unfortunately,
he would more than likely encourage a few people that, at least once the war is over, they should start rebuilding some temples in the temple district.
That is strangely noble of you.
At least he requires one. You never know. Gods require temples, right?
Oh, okay. I take it back. I take it back. You should rebuild the temples starting with mine. It's less noble than I anticipated. That's fine. That's on par.
Well, yeah, Korax not getting other people's temples built, Mike. He would probably request a temple or two to be rebuilt. Ideally a big one. Not in their name, but just rebuilt as a full building.
All right.
A big one with lots of books.
It's basically a library. It's a cathedral library.
That is exactly what Korax wants.
If you survive and the city remains, there will be a temple to the god of knowledge in the city of Samora. Gods forbid. Cool. So the first day sort of goes as such. whether convenient or not, or timely or not, or suspicious or not, Antares and Seydlitz arrive back at Samora the next day. This trip was not a very long trip. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember. It's been 2 months. They arrive back the next day, and if you were able to catch them arrive together, you would see Seydlitz deter off immediately, and he heads somewhere towards the residential districts of Samora, leaving Antares to her own devices. Antares, when you return to the city, what are you doing?
Well, I think it was just like a couple of days.
Yeah, I think it was a couple days.
She's gonna head back towards the palace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe get some food. Yeah, she's gonna get some food on the way.
Yeah, there's a numerous amount of stands selling all kinds of street foods on sticks in small packages in cones for your easy access to peruse while you head toward the market district.
Yeah, she gets like a big bag of churros.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Afterworld churros.
Yeah.
The spiciest of churros. Yeah, you're easily able to procure a bag of some churro-like substance and head your way to the capital. The castle rather. The first thing you notice is none of the guards like lining the stairs and into the grand foyer of the castle pay you any mind. They don't ask you questions. They don't ask who you are. They don't ask where you're going. You are essentially given free reign. No one stops you. It is apparent that you, at the minimum, you would assume the rest of your friends as well, have been. Everyone has been told who you are, and to not impede your work. Essentially, so you're easily able to walk right into the castle. You see the Castellan sort of there tending to several of the servants and talking to people. You see the doors to the throne room are closed, and the Castellan sort of appears to you and says, is there anything that you need, Miss Antares?
If you could show me, when he says her name, she kind of stops. Can you show me to where Corax and Mina are?
Please wait right here. And you see him like buttle off somewhere, and you can see him leaning over and talking to a few people. They sort of disperse. A few minutes later, they come back, and he returns to you. Mina and Corax, where are you?
Mina is still doing his tour of the walls, getting to know all the. So he'll just be talking to anyone on the wall that probably wasn't annoyed enough from yesterday to talk to him today.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think at this point everyone has been more or less informed who you all are. So even if they are too annoyed, they're still putting up with you because you have been painted as the saviors of the city, or as like the saving grace of the city. Where is Corax while this is happening?
If Corax is not bossing around people with his really awesome piece of paper, he would probably be in the library.
Okay.
The palace library.
Right. So the Castellan appears again back from that corridor, and he explains to you, Antares, Corax has taken up roost in the library. He has spent most of his time there, and young Mina is pacing the walls. I believe he is shoring up the defenses and boosting morale for the troops that we have stationed there. If you'd like, Corax is right this way. And he kind of motions you to exactly where you know the library to be, since you've been there before.
Yeah. Okay, she'll go. No offense, Corax, but she's wondering if Corax is the right person to share her news with.
Aren't we all?
She's gonna turn back.
Corax
to
wonders too.
She's gonna turn back. Is there a mediator that the queen has?
Like an advisor, or someone you can talk to?
Yeah, like a seneschal or something like that. Like, so she's not literally Mina, like talking her ear off, like so she can tell information to somebody and he relays it to her?
You could probably talk to the Castellian, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, he is essentially the person who runs the castle for the queen. He's like a governor of a castle. Yeah, so you can give that to him.
Okay. She's like, I have some insights regarding the reconciliators in this city. Would you mind coming with me?
Yes, and he follows you.
Okay. And then she will head to the library.
Okay. Yeah, you walk into a similar scene as the last time you walked into the library, all but more grandiose, in that there are large piles of books, very much like Mickey Mouse the Wizard from Fantasia, where there are books turning their own pages, just floating on like plinths that aren't there, stacks of other books coming from shelves, and in the center of all of this, you see there's Corax reading something. I would imagine.
Yeah, she just walks up and she like ducks under one book and then like goes around another, and comes up to Corax. Read anything interesting lately?
Ooh, everything's interesting if you understand what it's about.
Fair enough. So we were, and she looks. What's this? She turns to the guy. What's your name?
You turn to the Castellian.
Yeah.
Grace.
Grace.
It's a Grayce for fantastical spelling.
Wise. Thank you. Oh, Jesus.
It's an apostrophe in there somewhere.
With a Y, but not where you think it is.
Yeah. Starts with the Y. YGRACE.
Oh, God.
Okay. So we scouted the Krakens, but we didn't find anything. So, and she pulls out of her pocket like a crude drawing that she's done on just like a piece of parchment, and she slaps it down on the desk in front of Corax, and it's a drawing of the amulet of the Far Traveler. Whether or not we've located them in the Kraken I think is going to be pretty irrelevant, and this is why. And she slides with one finger the paper towards him.
Does he recognize this, Mike?
Roll me a difficulty 4, intelligence-based. Divine things could help here. Identifying divine things, knowledge of divine things.
Knowledge of godly beings. Cool.
I'll allow it.
And this is a knowledge-based thing, Mike.
Yes, it is a knowledge-based thing.
So Corax has 3 wonderful divine shifts in that. Difficulty 4.
I think that means you like automatically pass.
Yeah, pretty much. Unless it's a nat 1. Cancel that. I need to change that to a 3. Doesn't give me enough assets. Efforts, 2 assets. Success.
Great. Yes, the amulet of the Far Traveler. You recognize this device. It is an arcane. Well, it is a divine. It is a divine device linking to the god of travel, as you would imagine. And it is used to transpose from one location to another location, regardless of distance. As long as you know the place to exist, you can appear in that place. This is what you see here is a lesser amulet, meaning it is for one person. There could be, with the right spellcraft, with the right divinity and the right know-how, there could be larger variants created. However, this one is a solo, like a single person sort of journey.
And are these things that can be created in this day and age? Or are these things that are from pre-default? Would they have had to find these items? Is mostly what I'm asking.
Yes. So these are from pre-fall. They would have to be found. However, given what you know of what is happening, someone with enough power could create this. Someone with a large enough divine horde, say a dragon, could create these. The reborn god of travel could create these if it exists.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
she slides it across and she looks at it, it's like, I'm assuming you know what that is.
And your friendly reconciliators have these?
She nods and she looks at Grace. This is the amulet of the far traveler. I found one on the body of our friend back in Old Nimrome, and it didn't really occur to me until on the much thinking that we did on the way back from the Krakens, the significance of what this could mean for us here. And she'll glance back at Grace. This allows them, the bearer of this amulet, to essentially transport themselves anywhere that they know to exist. So they technically could be anywhere and transport troops inside the city.
Corax reaches out to seemingly empty space. And Mike, I'm assuming he would have found this information from a book within this library.
Sure.
And the book from that shelf sort of appears in his hand, flips open to the page, and he passes that across to Grace with the writing about this amulet. That's what the Queen would need to know about.
He takes the book from you, sort of looks to both of you, and like bows his head. Thank you. I will take this. And you see him like thumb into the book, close the book around it, and he backs away a few steps, waiting for anyone to interrupt him. And then he turns and disappears. You assume headed towards the Queen.
And she will turn back. She'll watch him leave and then turn back to Corax. The Queen also informed me that my siblings have left the city. Sorry, what is it called?
Corso.
Corso. My siblings have left Corso and they're heading north.
Is that all she said?
I'm getting there. I honestly don't think Terry's could link Mina's sister as this possible third person.
You couldn't, but you do know they have a third companion.
Yeah. It's like, so they've left Corso and they're heading north. And she kind of looks around at all the books floating around and maybe like ducks under one as it lands on the table. You know a lot, Korak, so I'm not going to try and patronize you with something you might not know, but this whole thing that you've done here, this ascension, she knows about it. My mother. She has a book, and I don't think she knows that I know that she has it, but she guards it pretty closely. And from what I've learned my years being with her, that it tells her when divine beings are born, I guess. Most likely your name is now in that book.
He smiles at the thought of his name being automatically appearing in a book. Her knowing of the existence of gods.
Well,
for what purpose? I mean, she's trying to stop them, I suppose.
That was our That was literally beat into me my entire life, so don't let any names appear in this book. So your ascension and then the news of my siblings leaving and heading north, they're going to come and try and find you.
And what is it going to mean when your name appears in that book?
If that even happens, I don't know. I can't imagine her not knowing. If I was divine the whole time, I
You would have
suspect
known.
she nods. I suspect she knew. And that's why she kept me so close to her my entire life. So what you want to do with that information is up to you, but I wanted to let you know, since you're the one who knows about them, more or less.
He does a sort of a half head bow more than a real bow. Well, I've walled myself off in a city that needs to defend itself with people who carry big weapons, because I'm not carrying big weapons. She doesn't know where I am.
Let's hope not.
Who I am. Traveling salesman.
I don't know what information this book tells her other than a god of knowledge. So,
Mike, would Korax be able to glean that it would be the Book of Dead Gods? Since Sula had mentioned it before to us.
Yes.
The names of the gods.
Yes.
A copy of that book must exist elsewhere. I have not seen it in here, I'm assuming. There's not much magical in this library. It would be interesting to see how many others have sprung up. I would like to get my hands on that book.
A copy you want to get your hands on, not that copy, right? Or that.
I mean, either one will do. And he looks at the amulet, the drawing of the amulet of the Far Traveler. 2 of those could do.
I'm sure it would be helpful.
And it would be good for her not to know about these new gods that appear.
Well, I don't know if she gets a holy ding in her head or something like that, but if a name is going in that book, she's going to know about it.
And a name appearing in that book, what was the punishment for yourself and ENR?
Thankfully, I know we never had to find out.
You never had to find out. They would have.
That's true. And she kind of, her head, she kind of looks down.
Unless they were children when they found out, Antares, you're all roughly the same age. You're all around the same age.
Yeah, I think Korax means what would have happened.
Like since you left. Yeah.
Korax is implying when he ascended.
I don't really want to think about it, but they've left with new vigor. Apparently, according to the Queen, they've replaced me in their ranks. They've picked up a third person. Did she say it was a woman, Mike? Yeah, okay. They picked up another woman.
A woman who wields a spear like lightning.
Yeah. Apparently a formidable fighter. That didn't take them long. And she kind of sits back a little bit. She's like leaning on the table, and she kind of just like leans back.
Mike, is there something that I can roll to try and put 2 and 2 together? That Mina carries a spear.
Yeah.
And his sister was seen with Telbin in the past.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say no, you don't need to roll anything. There is enough pieces on the board for you to make an assumption. Whether that assumption is accurate or not, you know of Telbin, you know what some people have said Telbin is, that he has a proclivity for picking up people that have something about them. And you've heard what drunk Mina said about his sister, and what sober Sia said about his sister. You sort of dropped a couple of eaves on a lot of conversations, so you would be confident in making that assumption. However, there's nothing I can make you roll to know if that's factual or not until you kind of see it or hear it for yourself.
Yeah, it wasn't about being factual. It is about him piecing those bits together.
Yeah, you have enough pieces collectively between multiple conversations that you can make that.
In that case, Corax would stop and think for a second, and we would need to speak to Mina. Of all the people I know that has someone in their family that could carry a spear, since he does, maybe she does. His sister was with Telbin, and she was, according to Mina, pretty darn evil.
You always say that about your siblings.
Well, I didn't find my siblings evil. They were annoying, but at least my brothers were, but I wouldn't say evil.
Well, mine were.
Well, one wanted to kill you, and the other one was nicer. When the nicer one gets shouted at by mother for a new god appearing, what happens when they get angry? Are they worse or better?
She actually doesn't know how to respond to that. One of them is volatile and hot-headed. The other one is calm, cool, and collected. Both are dangerous in their own ways when motivated properly.
I am more worried about the one that is cool, calm, and collected.
You most likely won't see him coming.
True. I won't be on the battlefield.
You don't have to be on the battlefield. We weren't marching on the front lines of a lot of these campaigns that she went on. We went through back doors, we hid in shadows, for the most part. We flanked from the side.
I just don't show this then. And he puts his hands out to all the books. Hide in plain sight. Kept me alive in Corso.
Yes, we're a lot different now.
Some would say better.
Different. And she kind of smirks.
Definitely better. He says under his breath. I think we're going to need to speak to Mina. As he says that, all the books start to move back towards their shelves, the ones that were floating. We're going to need to speak to him about the possibility that his sister is coming here.
Okay. So we end this scene and we cut over to moments before Corax and Antares locate and arrive next to Mina. Mina, you are on the battlements surrounding Samora. These battlements are almost more show than function. The last time they were used was almost a decade ago, when a bunch of Nefar attacked the northern side of the city. But the final incursion for the city to overthrow Japheth was done from within the city. And there has been no attacks ever since. The Reconciliators sort of flow freely in and out of the city as long as they don't pose a threat. So when you started your campaign of bolstering the defenses, there weren't many people patrolling. There are now. There are stationed guards at parapets. There are crossbowmen. There are spear wielders, and there are a slew of removable ladders to expedite transport up and down this. Apart from the every so many every quarter mile there being a staircase on the wall. So the battlements are crowded now compared to what they were several days ago when you first started this. But as you sort of pace these parapets around the city, checking for wear, tear, the status of troops, their morale in general, what do we see you doing as the camera sort of sweeps in towards Mina?
So yeah, Mina will walk along. He's kind of just keeping an eye out to see what people are doing, keeping an eye towards the path from the Krakens. Every so often he'll stop and ask someone something about what they're doing and if he can help. If he sees someone carrying something, he'll race up to give them a hand. If anyone looks like thoughtful, like looking out over the battlements, he'll stop and have a conversation with them about what they're looking at, what they're looking for, just generally getting in the way.
Okay. At a distance, Corax and Antares, you see what looks to be an almost commanding presence of Mina. He has, from the bottom of the wall, it looks as though he has taken a more of like a captain of the guard sort of role. And as you ascend the stairs towards where he is currently stationed, speaking to one of the guards, the conversation turns back to Mina having a conversation. Less of an authoritative guard captain. It's less of a Wexy talking to Mina and more of a Mina talking to Mina conversation here on the battlements. The guard kind of like sees over Mina's shoulder to you two ascending the stairs, and he kind of gives Mina a nod and takes a step back as if to like offer you privacy to have a conversation. He looks to you, Mina, and says, "Sir, I appreciate your time." And he takes a half step back.
Mina will just go, I'm not a sir. I work for a living. But carry on." And he turns around to see who's approaching.
Yeah, he nods to you, and like almost in like a not quite like a military salute, right? But he like absolutely pulls the spear in close, and then turns like on a heel and begins to walk away from you, as if you are in fact a sir. And you turn around and you see Corax and Antares are headed up to you, sans Seydlitz.
Mina will take what he thinks is a casual kind of lean against the battlements that looks totally fake and wait for them to come to him.
Love it.
She, as they approach, she looks at Mina and goes, "General."
No, I'm just I'm helping. There's a lot to do.
He told them all about how to deal with the undead in the crypts.
Well, I could think it was
Really helpful.
General Kenobi.
And Mina will go, no, Corax, you've got it wrong. That's not how Christchurch works. There's a whole process. Your idea of the crypts and stuff, it was a bit of a red herring.
Oh, so there's no tunnels getting into the city through them?
No, I was talking about them somehow raising dead people, stuff like that. Doesn't work that way, apparently.
Oh no. He looks at Reese.
Sure. Well, I mean, to be fair, and she kind of scrutinizes Mina, the cult members that we saw in Nemero, who weren't Christ Church people, they were just cult members, they did raise dead bodies. So
Oh crap! I didn't think of that.
it may not be Christ Church agents that we could be worrying about, but since you threw the King of Nod on the table, what about this cult?
Oh, your friends at the Final Clave. I forgot about them.
Final Clave. There you go. It could be the Final Clave could come in and raise a whole army of those creeping carnage things.
Korax
She looks at Korax and nods.
Korax looks at her and goes, "Yep, it's the type of thing you got to tell the queen."
Yeah, I wouldn't take credit for that. I recommend, and Terry's, you're the expert on casual death cults. Maybe you should mention it too.
Yeah, next
Isn't
time
Terry's the general? She's not the general of the army.
No, I am not the general.
That's definitely Mina.
I'm not the general. There's quite a few sergeants here on the wall. There is a captain, but he doesn't generally come to the wall much. But the general, I don't even know who the general is. There must be one somewhere.
Well, is Wexy around? Is she hanging around too, or?
Probably not. She probably she probably shook her head long ago and went to do her own stuff.
Okay. Yes.
Real work.
Maybe we should ask for Shaden to be the general. I think he's fought on the walls before. He's got experience. And he's kind of I'm a guy, but I think he's kind of good looking, and he has a commanding presence. He probably would make a great general.
I mean, he'd definitely motivate the troops.
Yeah.
I'd be tempted to fight with Shaden.
See? Actually, we probably don't want you to fight. That's probably not a good thing.
Oh no, I'm not going to. But I mean, I'd be tempted.
So your sister?
Oh yes.
No, she's a terrible general. She wouldn't be good at it at all.
Is she trained with a spear by chance? Just curious.
Yeah. That was my mother's weapon of choice. She trained us on the spear. I think
she glances at Korax.
So it's kind of, I mean, you saw Wexy's got a spear, so it's kind of the weapon of choice for skilled warriors.
She trained your sister as well?
My mother did, not Wexy. Wexy's much more selective.
Okay, so Wexy trained you and your mother trained your sister.
No, my mother trained both of us. Wexy honed my skills.
Oh. Well, she does a pretty good job, I guess. You're pretty good with that thing.
Yeah. And you're quite good at killing things with your sword.
I have also been... My skills have also been very well honed. Mm-hmm. So she might. She looks at Korax.
She was grumpy, right? You said she wasn't nice.
My sister.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a sister. Aren't they all grumpy?
No, mine
to
are
some
great.
extent. Yes, when you said grumpy, remember back in the pub, back at Sia's, I asked you how angry she is with you. Just how far is she willing to go? And now we need to really find out, Mina, how far is she willing to go to find you?
She does get single-minded. If she's got to be in a bonnet about something, she would track me down. Like if I'd, if she had in her mind that I annoyed her or something like that, she'd track me down and, make sure that I was aware that I annoyed her.
And would she do that with by any means necessary?
I mean, we trained together, so she would, if our parents asked, she'd frame it that we were training, but it was generally her ambushing me and me defending myself.
He glances at Korax.
Would she fall in with the wrong crowd just to get back at you?
She's not much of a people person.
Again, she looks at Korax.
She's like a crowd of two.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, like I said, she gets single-minded. She, when she gets a bee in a bonnet about something, you better be ready for the consequences.
Korax looks at Antares.
She's already looking at him.
Shakes his head and says, all right, enough beating around the bush. There's a very good chance that she might be friends with Antares' family.
Wasn't she with Tillman?
Mm-hmm. Which would mean that she has the potential to be like us. And if she's fallen in with the wrong crowd and emotions to Antares.
If she's like us, wouldn't they be killing her?
They didn't kill Antares.
My siblings may not have known. My mother definitely knew. They might not have known. But yeah, I was told by the queen before I left with Seydlitz that a woman wielding a spear of lightning is traveling with them. Whatever that means.
I mean, there's lots of women wielding spears. I mean, Wexy's a wielder of spears.
Of lightning, though? That seems awfully specific.
I've never known Rhea to have any spear of lightning.
6 months ago, did you know that you could do what you do today?
Yeah. I don't do anything special. I don't have my spear doesn't turn into lightning or anything like that.
Maybe not yet.
I just have my training.
Well, she's a formidable warrior, whoever this person is. If it's your sister.
Oh yeah, she could kick my ass 6 ways to Sunday.
That doesn't make me feel any better.
No.
But now I've been training with Wexy, so I'm much more skilled now. I left Rhea in Dawnsfall. She wouldn't have been able to get any training there, and I don't think this Telvin guy was much of a trainer. So I think I could take her now. I mean, with what Wexy's trained me.
Yes, she seems to have done a good job. Do you remember what I told you back in the tavern?
Yes.
If it comes down to her or you, I will defend the Redeemer of the Afterworld. You know that, right?
Yeah, I can handle her. Sounds like you've got your own siblings to worry about.
And she kind of like shifts her weight. I can hold my own.
Corax, do you have any siblings we should be worried about?
I have 4, but not. You don't need to worry about them.
Cool.
They,
And
they
Mina
didn't
will
hate
kind
me, so I mean, pretty good.
that doesn't sound like a proper family.
Well, I was
you
the
guys were
forgotten child. So I
raised
mean,
weird.
it's fine. Just do what you do.
Hmm.
Don't hate the ones you
Mina-
forget.
Mina will look over to the pass through the Krakens and says, I mean, the good news is we're watching everywhere now. So anyone that comes through the pass will know straight away.
If they
Yeah,
come through
about
the
that.
pass.
Yeah.
Uh,
The reconciliators have a way to transport themselves. I don't know if they can do it en masse, but they can definitely do individually. They can teleport themselves directly inside the walls if they want to.
do you have any good news?
Seydlitz found what he was looking for.
Reconciliators?
No.
Which is, I mean, you could argue that's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the library's looking great. It's nice and clean. Everything, all the books are well organized. Shuffled a few around; they were in the wrong place. But
Do you? I'm only instigating here at this point. Do you tell them what Seydlitz found?
She didn't mention it, and Corax didn't ask, so
Okay.
oh, he doesn't care.
yeah, that's what I figured. He
Poking
doesn't
that
give a
hornet's
shit.
nest.
Yeah.
Mina knows better than to ask.
Yeah.
Um,
There might be a Seraph of Sin working for the people at Christchurch. We did run into one of those.
ooh, I'm safe then.
That's not good.
Corax, you have no need to roll for that. You are well aware that the Seraphs are essentially what amounts to angels in this world. They are remnants of quite a literally fallen kingdom. The Seraphs of Sin are essentially fallen angels. They are the angels of bad stuff. They are fairly violent, killing machines drawn to sin.
Did they follow godlings?
They followed gods. There haven't been godlings to anyone's knowledge. So there's no evidence of that happening.
Or divine?
Um,
Could he assume that they would follow a divine?
you could assume that since they did follow gods, gods kept them in check, so to speak. So yeah, you could assume that is possible.
It's probably likely then that they would just kill everything unless potentially guided by someone. And if they have a divine-ish person, a bro like for Shaden, who could control one of those or more of them and bring them here, they are effectively killing machines.
Well, luckily enough, we didn't engage it, but it seemed to be controlling a couple ravers. So we took those out, and then the Seraph escaped.
You would also not need a roll for that, Corax. That's literal skin of gods. It is an amalgam of god flesh that has reanimated and gained sentience. It is drawn to... it is for sure drawn to divinity. In a bad way.
He looks at Antares. Were they specifically after you and Seydlitz?
Well, they attacked us. They appeared at the location that Seydlitz was trying to find. They may
What
have
location?
a shack in the middle of the. And she gestures. An individual who knows the whereabouts of Seydlitz's father. Apparently, Seydlitz had no intention of scouting the Kraken for reconciliators. He was out trying to find this individual, who we found. He was dead. Well, he was dead. And he was attacked. He was attacked, can we tell him, like, by those things, by the Seraph and...
No, he was attacked by the dead reanimated that you saw
right.
next to him. Yeah.
Right. He was attacked by a individual from Christchurch, and yeah, those things were there, showed up. Yeah. And she kind of jabs her toe into a rock. They were probably following us or tracking us through the mountains.
Or they were tracking someone else and then decided to follow you.
She shrugs, like, that's a pretty big hypothetical. Like, if you're going to go with that, we could literally come up with anything.
Well, they specifically target the divine.
Well,
And if they just show up randomly to where you were, it's unlikely. They were probably after someone and
Or
then
they
went
were-
for you.
Oh, so they were following somebody, not necessarily looking for someone, but just passing through. And
I hope so.
just happened to stumble upon us.
If that's not the case, then I'm less worried about Mother and your siblings. And he gestures at Mina and Antares, and more worried about them. I'm look, you guys can be worried about the people who kill people, but I'm more worried about the people that kill me.
I mean, Terry's and Seydlitz handled the flesh thing, ravers. So I'm sure we can protect you.
Please do.
Hey, we took care of them quite well. Like I said, you now have a target on your back.
Yeah, that's worse.
Well, then why did you
Things that
ascend?
can find me, because it's pretty great. And he pulls a book out and he lets it go and it sort of hovers. It's pretty great. And he puts it away.
She just shakes her head.
You should try it sometime.
She holds her hand out for that book that he just had in his hand.
He pulls out a different book and hands to her, and it's a book about some random animal.
She holds it out and goes to let it go. Like, okay, let's see if it floats. And she drops it.
All of a sudden, Antares gains divinity. Also, a god of books. That's secretly the god of books. A thing you've never seen Antares have. No, the book immediately begins to plummet down towards the wall there.
She won't drop it off the edge. She's just dropping it at her feet.
Yeah, it falls like on the. You guys are on top of the wall, so it drops like to the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. So time has passed. It is growing later in the evening. You notice there are no guards in the general vicinity to where you guys are. They have all started to descend from other areas of the wall. A shift change has sort of happened around you. The guards you had seen previously, they do not look like the same people. And you know that as the sun begins to dip to the west, that there is about to be a procession through the city. No amount of the possibility of war has dampened the jovial celebration in thanks of the sun's bright shining light. And down Avi's Road, across the center of Samora, you begin to hear music and shouts and jeers and cheers starting from the eastern side of the city, which we'll say is close to where you guys are, which is why you can hear it begin. You know that means that the majority of the workday is about to end. Most people are either gonna grab food, make food, that kind of thing, and enjoy this nightly carnival. Where are you guys essentially ending your day? What are you guys doing as the sun begins to set?
I think are we going to be together or are we going to be separate?
And you are currently together, so you tell me.
Well, I'll let the other guys say because I have a plan, but I'll see what you guys want to do.
Yeah. Mina will just if no one's doing anything else specifically, he'll head to a tavern nearby just to have something to eat before heading back to the barracks.
Sure. You're still staying in Wexy's barracks?
Yeah.
Okay.
As they're leaving the wall to head wherever they're going, Korax would look to Mina as his resident tailor and looks at the like he pulls out his cloak a bit and the singed bottom from way back when Seydlitz set him on fire. And he says to Mina, what do you need in order to make a new cloak for me that makes it harder for people to put holes in me? I've got a really cool letter from the Queen, which helps me get things.
I mean, we could just go to one of the many tailors in town, seamstresses in town, and just put in an order, I guess.
Like, but what would be good? Like, you know?
Yeah, there's probably any good high quality cotton would be good. My gear is made out of mage cloth, which is really durable, and even though it's not just fashionable, it protects me really well.
I don't think they're going to give me free stuff, but I'm going to try. I'll try and get as much of it as I can, and then you can make me a new one. And then Korax will spend his time trying to blag some free stuff, Mike. Sorry, not free, paid for by the Queen.
Right.
To try and get some fabrics that he can get a new cloak.
God damn it. Cool. I will let you acquire Mage Weave, which is expensive, at the cost of an XP. You can have enough bolts of Mage Weave to do so.
I'll definitely give you an XP. Only one? That's a bargain.
Yeah, just one is fine. Cool. So for as the antagonist of this episode, you begin making your way through the mercantile district as you split off from Mina, having heard all the information you need to hear, and you're looking for an upscale tailor, right? You don't want to use some bottom of the barrel, low rent tailor here. You find one that sufficiently meets the visual test, right? The light is still on. The shop hasn't closed for the day. And you walk in to this shop. You see there is a young man, probably about Mina's age, maybe a year or two older. You're not really sure. But he seems all of the confidence that Mina has about tailoring. He seems to have the same level of bravado, albeit someone who can afford nice things. So you see him in like a festooned vest, sort of toggled in there. He's got like pompous shoulder ploufs, and he has a series of like essentially like a bandolier, but for your arm, of like pin cushions, and you see that there are like bolts of fabric that sort of glisten in the firelight of the waning candles, and he has like center parted hair that kind of comes down very Christ-like, right? And he looks to you and says, "Oh, the last man before we close up shop. How can I help you, good sir?"
I am looking for something for the queen. It's a fabric I've heard of called mage cloth. Is this something that you have?
Oh, we have bolts of mage cloth in every color you could imagine, my good sir. What exactly are you looking to have made?
And he pulls out his cloak, but it requires, and he opens up the inside of many places to keep things inside.
Oh, yes, like
I don't carry a bag.
Stored. I understand. Yes. And is this for you?
Oh, of course.
Oh.
But the queen's asked for it for me.
Of course. He lifts up like the counter separator, and you see him like hip shoot a tailor's measuring, like a tape measure, right? Like it comes off this spool, and he begins to like measure your arms, armpit to elbow, elbow to wrist, fingers, your wrist to shoulder, shoulder to shoulder, your traps, your neck, your like. He's every inch of you that could be measured for a cape. Straps this thing back in. It auto locks into place like a builder's tape measure that we would understand. He walks back through the divider in the counter, and he says, "Please, this way." You see him remove like a shelf out of a wall that like comes out and like clips down, and on it you see essentially spools of cloth that you can't tell the difference between any of these cloths, right? You're not a tailor. There is a slight glimmer to them. There is a feeling of like durability to them, like it's as if you had like a linen or a cotton, like a high tensile cotton. It looks sturdy, right? It looks like it could take a couple knife thrusts before it cuts in half. And you see this is a rainbow of colors. This is a kaleidoscope of colors, iridescence, etc. And he looks to you and says, "Please choose your fabric."
Muted. I was muted. He's going to look for a dark green.
Okay.
As dark a green as he can find. But
right. There is a dark green, and he says, "And for the interior."
Ooh, and he's going to flick through all the colors and look for like a bright red, like stupidly bright red.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you see him like roll out some of this off of the green one, and again like almost like someone with like a six gun, right? He like pulls out scissors out of like his lower back, spins them on a finger, and a set of shears cuts the green, and then he slides that back in, moves another one, pulls the red out, a ribbon of red comes, spins across the red, and he looks to you and says, "For the queen." Now, you have a writ, I assume. I have heard that you have been commissioning several things, Mr. Korax. What may I see this writ, please?
Oh, of course. And he ducks into a random pocket and pulls out his writ from the queen. And of course, everything's going to be paid for. I'll even give you a tip.
He skims down this quickly, hands it back to you. Everything seems in order, and no tip necessary for someone as a stature as such as yours. Just please tell everyone where you got your cloak, when it is that you get it, which I can have it in. You see him like flip open a book, a calendar pulls down. He looks at a few things. 2 days' time, I can have this cloak ready for you.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
And you just let everyone know when they see you walking down Avi's Road during the parades, Delane's Delicacies, or Delane's Delicates is where you got this cloak.
I'm very bad with names. If you want to put like a little label on the inside so that I remember. And I can show people as well.
Yeah, because why wouldn't he be? There's a bit of close-up magic, and a card is produced, and he hands you a business card that is on like thick vellum with like embossed print. You don't have no idea how that was made. And the name glistens in the candlelight, and it says Delane's Delicates.
Oh, fantastic! Could I just get a small swatch of the fabric?
Oh, of course.
I
And
have a friend who's a tailor.
expertly cuts out like a 4x4 inch 4x4 of the green and of the red, and you see him grab like a like essentially what amounts to a paperclip, right, and clips them both to the card and hands it to you. He says 2 days time back here and I will have you fitted for this wonderful cloak of yours on behalf of the queen, of course.
Of course, and she'll make sure you're paid, don't worry.
Oh, I wouldn't think anything of it. It's fine. I will see you in 2 days' time. Have a good day, sir.
He does a half bow.
As you head back out, Snow is so mad. As you head back out into the street, we cut to we'll cut to Antares real quick because you had a plan. You said, what is Antares doing?
She is after they part ways with the guys. She's gonna casually head around the parade's going on, and she's gonna try and locate subtly where the reconciliators hold up in the city.
Ooh,
Scout them out, as it were. Since they didn't scout anything in the Kraken, she's gonna try scouting out in the city proper.
Interesting. Roll me an intelligence. Let me try this. Are you being stealthy? I may need 2 rolls from you.
Yeah, she's not like just gonna walk straight down the street. She knows she has a little bit more anonymity now, just because she doesn't look like herself anymore. So she's hoping that obviously she looks like herself, but she doesn't look like her wanted poster. So she's hoping that, and she's not going to get too close. So she is going to be stealthy. But she's hoping that she's going to pass a quick glance scrutiny.
Okay.
Hopefully, if it comes down to it.
2 rolls from you, both difficulty 5. One is intelligence based, investigating, searching, anything like that. The other one is a speed, anything stealth based will help with that one.
Okay, so intelligence, difficulty 5, but she is a knowledge in reconciliators, so I'm going to take 1. Oops.
I'll take that.
Not effort, but effort. Yeah, I'll spend 1 effort.
Okay.
On that, and I'll take 1 asset for my knowledge. Let's go. Fuck.
Okay, great.
Failure.
You have XP. You could push that.
I'm not spending XP on that.
Okay. Roll me a stealth. Your difficulty 5 speed check.
Difficulty 5 speed. Okay. 5. I'm gonna spend an effort on that. Let's see. Does my sense ambush give me any kind of asset?
No, since you're the aggressor in this, you're the one searching, not the one being searched for. I'm gonna say no on that one.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Come on. Nope.
Okay. Well, you notice several things. 1, there are no wanted posters bearing your face. 2, there are strangely few reconciliators, given the number that you were told headed this direction. You find it a little bit difficult to find them. What you notice is that there is no, like, reconciliator barracks, right? They're not all in one place. You find them. They are scattered throughout the city. You find a couple, just 2 conversing on a street corner. You find, you see 1 through a window in a tavern. It appears as though there is no, there's no laws for these people to be quartered with you. So wherever they can find a place to bed down and someone is willing to accept their coin, they can sleep there. Otherwise, when it becomes dark, you see a lot of them leaving the city to most likely make camp outside or make camp wherever they can. They're not welcome here, I guess is the nicest way to put that. So there are a few people that will take money over morals and let them stay here. So there are a few of them in the city, probably like 24 in the city, but you imagine there's more of them outside. Where outside, you're not entirely sure unless you plan on following them. The other thing you notice is that while you have changed your garb to be a little bit more of a soft Terry's, and there are no wanted posters, guards notice you. And you see them all look at you, and there's like a maybe a reverential head nod, right? Like it's what you would have seen of other guards in Corso or other guards in your mother's tower would sort of nod to each other. You are recognized despite the fact that you have changed your appearance and that there are no wanted posters. This at first kind of comes as like a weird shock, and then you remember how no one stopped you from walking in the castle. You are not known for being the daughter of the dragon. You are known as one of the people that is helping to save the city. The queen has put out who you are to at least a certain level, a certain echelon of people. So you are being recognized. Thus, it is a little bit more difficult for you to sneak around. The common folk have no idea really who you are, but guards and stuff recognize you immediately and kind of give you a nod. So you can find a small retinue of reconciliators in like a tavern, but there is no like large barracks or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel like she buys more churros, maybe like some kind of like hot chai drink that they're serving, and she's doing like leaning against the thing, like drinking her drink. She'll see a reconciliator walk by. And I think it's when she starts noticing that the guards are acknowledging her presence that's when she starts kind of packing it in and heading back, because that is kind of concerning to her, because if in her mind, if the guards are recognizing her, even though it's the information may only be being passed to certain people, that random dude standing on the corner with his spear notices her. So the chances of her presence being in the city could also be passed to the reconciliators.
That's correct.
So yeah. So
where do you go?
I don't know. She's gonna start heading back towards the thing. How long does the parade usually go for?
It goes until the sun sets. Well, that's not true, because the sun sets in like 7 or 8 minutes. It lasts about an hour, the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I probably sure that's how long it's going to take for her to do all this. Like kind of using the parade as a distraction. I think she's gonna go back up to like a rooftop or something. The one where she was at before. And yeah, she's just gonna go back up there and maybe brood a little bit. I don't know. Okay.
Batman style brooding. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe less brooding, maybe looking at the stars and stuff like that.
Okay. Just so I know, Korax, where do you go? Because you do still need to sleep. You cannot just live in the library.
I mean, if he found a room in the palace, he would definitely stay there. If he doesn't, he would stay at the Temple of the Adherence.
Okay, cool. Just want to know, you can't live in the library.
No, he pulls a cot into the library. It's just
the books assemble into a makeshift cot for him. So we see Antaria sort of gazing out at the city below as she stands on top of a 2-story walk-up. And we cut across from the where the sun is actually setting into the darker side, the southernmost side of Samora, into a tavern where Mina has gone to grab some food on the southeastern corner of Samora. Mina, you are inside. There is a hot bowl of some kind of delicious stew, some kind of white chowdery thing with dumplings in it, floating in there. There's a chatter, a warm fire in the hearth. The candlelight sort of dances in this place. Relatively safe and secure, homely little comforting bar. A cute young serving girl sort of hands over and kind of places it down, reaches into her apron, pulls out a spoon and a napkin, sort of rolled together, places it down for you, and says, "Sir, this is on the house."
Yeah. Why?
Because of who you are.
Who do you think I am?
You're Mr. Han, right?
Mr. Han's my dad. You can just call me Mina.
Oh, and there's a little bit of like rose to her cheeks. You're working with the queen and the guards. We've seen you and the guards, and you kind of look around, and there's a couple of guardsmen around. The guards have mentioned you.
I'm working for the queen. And yeah, I'm just another guard protecting the city like all the other guards.
Either way, I was told that this is meal is on the house.
Thanks. And he'll put a coin on the table anyway. I appreciate it.
She, with her free hand, she like pours an ale into the cup beside you, and she says, "No, of course, it's the least we can do. The guards speak very highly of you, and if there's anything else you need, please don't hesitate to ask. Your anything you need is on the house."
Thanks. And Mina kind of just starts shoveling food in his mouth very self-consciously.
She smiles and turns, and you notice that as soon as she walks away, that coin is still right where you left it. The noise in the bar just sort of continues as this like general din. Even nervously as you eat this, no one's really paying too much attention to you. They're not actively avoiding you or actively like, what's that guy doing? But like you do see every once in a while, like a guard will leave and give you a nod. Or like if you like look around and catch an eye, a guard will wave towards you. You have sort of built up some kind of rapport with the guards as far as you can tell, unless there is something else going on here. But yeah, you are sort of treated with like low-level reverence as an important guard, if you will. But yeah, your cup gets refilled every once in a while without you asking. As long as they see it low, they come by and pour you a new flagon. Not in the Antarius trying to get you drunk sense, just in the keep this guy satisfied sense. So while you're eating this delicious chowdery stew, what are you doing? Both of your companions have sort of absconded into the night, and you are alone in a tavern.
Mina still has the note that Wexy left for him the other morning, that just details for him to learn about the city. And the term that sticks with him is know yourself, and he doesn't understand it. So he's just contemplating what that could mean.
Great. Those are some great words that I segue directly into what I want to happen. So you elbows on the table, as improper as that may be, as you kind of stir around the remnants of this stew, contemplating what it means to be Mina Han, what it means to be a divine, what it means to be the savior of Samora. These words from Wexy, the words from Chronotus, and the words from the guy who definitely wasn't in a bathrobe, sort of sink into your head about various levels of what it means to be divine, what it means to be what you guys are doing, who you guys are running from. And something sticks out. The phrase wields a lightning spear just sort of jabs at the back of your brain. And as you kind of pour over this porridge, you recall a dream, a vision, a thought, a memory. You're not entirely sure what it is, but it starts to nag at the back of your head. And as you sort of pick that scab, you remember that you were fighting a gang of people in Donsfall. The reason you left. And there was a moment in that fight where you were in the throes of combat. That sort of preternatural sense sort of took over, and that almost like that rising bloodlust of combat sort of was boiling up inside you. And you remember something. You're almost positive it didn't happen, but the memory sort of nags there. You remember a fight, a one-on-one fight. You bedraggled, bloodied, your opponent bedraggled, bloodied, two spears clashing, lightning flashing across the sky, sloshes in the mud from all the tackles and slides across, and a fork of lightning sort of lights the scene. And across from you is a face you know all too well. A face that you trained with as a child until you left Donsfall. The face of Rhea, your sister. And there, sort of backlit against this fork of lightning, some sort of tall, shadowed, humanoid figure, almost goading and cheering on your sister as she tightens her grip on her spear and lances towards you. And as that memory sort of fades, as the spear is about to strike you, you hear a from across the table. And you see the opposite of that. You see a concerned, almost matronly Wexy Jund sitting across from you, looking at you. Is everything okay?
I think Ray's after me.
Your sister?
And Terry thinks she's joined the favored.
That is concerning.
And that they mentioned she or whoever joined the favored wields a spear like lightning. I've seen Raya do that at Dawnfall.
You saw her?
Yeah, during the fight at Dawnfall, I have a recollection of her fighting with lightning.
Was this a dream, Mina, or was this something that happened to you?
I don't think it. I think it may have been a dream, or a dream of, or a memory of what hasn't happened.
Mina, I know there was some information discussed at Sia's. She was upset with you. But hunting you is a bit of an extreme.
That was Sia's words.
Sia said she was upset with you.
Yeah, but with everything going on, it's just there can't be. I think I've been stressed too much. I think you're right.
What reason would she have to hunt you?
None. I haven't even seen her in nearly a year. Why? there's nothing I've ever done to her. Ever since my mum brought her back from Nod, she's been angry though.
Come again?
Just before we went to Dawnsfall, we were traveling with my mother, and we couldn't wake Ray up. And my mother showed me how to make the kind of natural dream dust, and then she made another thing for herself and went to Nod and brought her back.
She reaches across the table and grabs your flagon and sort of downs more than half of it. Your sister was trapped in the Dreamlands. And Ariel willingly traveled to it and retrieved her?
Yeah, she said it was something she learned in the army.
What army, Mina?
She was in the Samoran army.
Mina, what reason would the Samoran army have to learn and teach their soldiers to traverse the Dreamlands? Does that make sense to you? They're not fighting the King of Nod.
But that's what my mum told me. She wouldn't make that up, I guess. Why would she make that up? What would she be hiding?
I don't know, Mina, but I know plenty of the soldiers here in the city, and none of them have ever said, hell, several of the soldiers in the city, after their commission ended, they became guardsmen in the caravans. I don't know anyone that can traverse. I don't know anyone that can willingly enter the Dreamlands and bring someone back safely.
Well, I mean, she did the same when I was there. When I went to Nod while in Laredo, she showed up and showed me how to get back.
When were you in the Dreamlands?
I tried to make the natural dream dust, and it kind of didn't work. I ended up going to Nod and talking with the King of Nod for a while, and then I was stuck there for a few days. And then my mum showed up and explained how I could get back.
Wexy raises the flagon in the air and just sort of shakes it a little bit. And you see the young serving girl come over and immediately refill the drink. Look at there's only one drink. Quickly bustles back, comes back with a second one, drinks it. By the time the second one is poured, Wexy has already reached out for the second one and is beginning to drink that one because the first one is empty. You made dream dust to go talk to the King of Nod.
Well, technically, I was trying to avoid that, but I must have messed it up.
Mina, I need you to start from the beginning. And she places the flagon down, and with a perfect segue for you to retell that story to Wexy, we cut across to the library in the castle, where Corax has assembled his magical workforce of books. I need you to roll me an intelligence difficulty 7.
Cool.
Knowledge of divine beings takes account here. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I need you to roll me a difficulty 7 intelligence defense. Knowledge of godly beings.
Defense.
Yeah, knowledge of godly beings applies here.
Okay. So I am trained in intellect defense tasks.
Okay.
So that will take effect. So knowledge of godly beings will reduce it by 1 to a 6. It's my divine shifts are not going to help here.
They are not.
Do I have anything else that can help me? No. What does divine fortitude give me? Nope, just more. So that takes it to level 6. And I'm going to spend 2 effort on this. No assets and succeed to fail.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, cool. So what we see in the final scene of episode 21 is all of the books that are floating and moving of their own volition, well, of Korex's volition, really, around the library, very unsanctimoniously fall from the sky. Topple off of themselves. The towers of books topple over. Books immediately that are flipping their pages immediately just kind of crumple the pages down into like an open thing. Books fall, and we see in almost slow motion as if someone just turned Korax off. Your knees buckle and your weight shifts to whatever direction you were sort of leaning, and in almost slow motion, we just see him collapse to the floor. You're at 0 intellect, you are unconscious, Korax. And in the moments between this happening, this like almost spider sense tingle on the base of your brain, and the moment where your head sort of snaps into the cobblestone library floor, you feel a searing pain across what you can only describe as your actual brain. It feels as though someone has taken a quill made of fire and is writing something into existence. There is a new fact being created in this moment. Knowledge that wasn't previously around is now there, and you are painfully aware of this, in a level of which you have never experienced before. You have no access to a book, but you know exactly what has been written into what book has been written into. There are 3 new gods in the Afterworld.
Oh, shit.
And that is where we end this episode of God's Fall.
No, fuck you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, end of the rise,
No!
baby. Gods of the Fall, episode 21 in the bag. Bum bum bum.
You can't do that. Is that in your notes, Mike? You can't just do that.
Yes, I can. I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever
You didn't plan anything. You can't do that.
I have right here in my notes. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to show real quick. There's 3 notes right here. 1 note, 2 note, 3 note that are right there in my The Rise notebook.
And those are 3 new gods.
3 new gods. To answer one of our after show questions of whether or not Korax would know when new gods are created, you might not know who they are or what they're the god of, but you know there are 3 new ones. That is some powerful new information that has just been written into the existence of the Afterworld. So let's go around, do our introductions, and get out of here so we can do our after show, our first after show back after almost 2 months off the air. So yeah, we'll start with the unconscious god of knowledge. Korax, Necro, who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
I am Chris, aka Necro. You can only find me in the Discord, nowhere else, other than Patreon things with unMadeGaming.
Outstanding. Snow, who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to?
I'm Normal Snow, and you can find me in the Discord Patreon one-shots next week.
Yes.
And I'm still debating whether I'm going to come back and find out what's happening next month.
That's fair.
You have to.
Yeah. And last but not least, G, who are you? Where can we find you? And what are you up to?
Hi, I'm G, your friendly neighborhood lightning invoker. You find me in the Discord. You could find me next week for the Patreon one-shots. And on Twitter, Lightning Spaz 09.
Hell yeah. That's it for us, guys. If you want access to the after show, it'll be over on our Patreon as an unlisted video in our YouTube. If you want access to this show, if you're just catching it at the ass end of it, go check it out on YouTube. It'll be there later this week. And come over. Next week, we are starting some new shows. Next weekend, we are doing some Patreon one-shots, likely in Glenbrook. I think we have 2 back-to-back one-shots in Glenbrook, unless someone takes my spot. That's all we have. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the warm welcome back after 2 months off. And I will see you guys next week. So from all of us to you, bye-bye.
Bye.